Player ratings then. I'm not too sure I can do a player ratings, to be honest, after that. For the last 20 minutes or whatever it was, I don't even think I looked up at the telly, to be perfectly honest with you, because as I've said in the instant match reaction, I am very close to being done with this sport now. As much as I love this football club, as much as I always will love this football club, and as much as I'd follow Everton through anything, whether they were playing football, whether they were playing cricket, or whether, as I said, they were cleaning up rubbish from the side of a pavement, I'd still stand there next to them watching those players. But I don't know how much of this sport I can take anymore before I just say, do you know what, enough's enough. Because again, what is another quite clear display of corruption and quite clear display of a referee with an agenda against Everton Football Club. And I feel like whenever we have these conversations and I say these things, I feel like there's a load of opposition fans, be it Liverpool fans, United fans, City fans, who sort of must just think we come on and just moan for the sake of moaning, and we come on and just say that for the sake of saying it because we've lost the game. Go and watch my instant match reaction to the game against Wolves. I didn't talk about the referee once, and actually the referee made a terrible decision in that game as well, because McNeil had an arm around his throat and it wasn't even looked at. But we lost the game fair and square. We were the much worse team. Wolves were much the better team, so I didn't even mention it. I moved on from it. Do me a favour as well, go and watch every single incident that I've discussed on this channel. If you think that, oh, they're just moaning for the sake of moaning because they've lost again, they're just whinging, go and watch every single decision that I discuss and go and tell me that you disagree with me, because I guarantee you, if you've got a pair of eyes and a fucking brain, you won't disagree with me. Because it's so blatantly obvious. And again today, it's so blatantly obvious. There's nothing happening in that game. It was a fairly even game. Everton winning control for the majority of the second half. Palace had a few opportunities. We had a few opportunities. Nothing really happening. It was going to be a bore, 0-0 draw. Proper Thursday night game. Nobody wanted. Nobody really was asked about, but it was there. And the referee still had to make it about himself. The referee still had to be the centre of attention. And what's worse is that he will be protected now. He won't get asked about it. He won't get interviewed about it. His little cronies like Dermot Gallagher and Mike Dean and Howard Webb will all come out and defend him and tell him that it's a great decision and he's one of the best referees ever and we can't wait to go round to his for tea next Tuesday. They'll come out and defend him, and he'll be refereeing another game in a couple of weeks' time, earning thousands and thousands of pounds, despite the fact that his decision could have potentially cost this football club millions. What's the point? What is the point anymore? And again, I know I've said it before and I know I sound like a broken record, but I don't know how much of this I can watch before I just say, do you know what? Forget it. My life is better without those types of decisions. My life is better without having to watch my football club get done over week in, week out by an organisation that wants us relegated and wants us to be knocked out of everything. I love going into cup games because of that 1% feeling that Everton could progress into a quarter-final or a semi-final or a final and maybe lift an item of silverware. And do you know what? As I've said in the instant match reaction, it's already ridiculously difficult for a club like Everton to win a trophy, because in order to win a trophy, as has been proven over the last decade, you need an incredibly thick squad and you need to be one of those big six sides, big Tottenham, have a word. So it's already very, very difficult. What we've just saw tonight is it's impossible for teams like Everton to win trophies because they don't want you to. And if they don't want you to, you won't. And yeah, like I said before, for me, I wouldn't even play the replay. I'd say to them, get the fuck, we're not playing the replay. If Palace want to go through, absolutely sound, whatever, but we're not doing it. And if it was up to me, I'd say we're never kicking a ball again until every one of those referees is fucked off and we take you lot to court so you can prove that you're not corrupt. Because they couldn't prove it, because they are corrupt and they know they are corrupt. Anyway, we've just done a 18-minute rant on the instant match reaction, so I'll try and make this one a little bit more constructive and actually talk about the game a little bit, even though there wasn't much to talk about. It is the player ratings, the show where we give every player a rating between 1 and 10, 1 obviously being terrible and 10 being absolutely amazing. Let's get straight into it then. João Virginia in goal, come in for Jordan Pickford, surprising. Dyche didn't strike me as the type of manager that would change his goalkeeper in a cup competition, especially not an away game against the Premier League side. I thought he would make changes today. I didn't think one would be in goal, but he did. Give Jordan a little bit of a rest and he put João Virginia in. And I thought João done well today. I thought he done well, as I said before. It wasn't a particularly exciting game and there wasn't an awful lot going on, was there, to be fair. Palace had a couple of half opportunities. We had a couple of half opportunities. But other than that, not much happened. But João dealt with what he had to deal with. I'm going to give him a 6.5 today. I don't think he was put under huge amounts of pressure. I don't think he had to deal with many a quality efforts. He had to deal with a good, I think it was Eze shot, who shouldn't have been on the pitch at the time, but a good Eze shot towards the end of the game. But other than that, everything that was hit at him was fairly comfortable, and you would expect him to make those saves. But for a goalkeeper that's not played for a couple of years now and stepping in for Jordan Pickford, I thought he'd done well. Again, not a huge amount went on in the game to discuss, but I thought he'd done well. He kept himself well. He was commanding. He come out of his box when he needed to. He looked confident. He looked calm. And if that performance is anything to go by, then I'm absolutely sound with him being Everton's number 2 this season. Left back then, Vitaly Mykolenko. I'm going to give Vitaly a 7. Thought he had a decent game today. We spoke, after the Wolves game about how Vitaly and others, I think, are struggling at the moment because of that fitness and because of that fixture congestion and because of the fact that they're playing a ridiculous amount of football in such a short period of time. I thought he was absolutely sound today. Like I said, it's difficult, in it, really, because there wasn't many standout performers, but not because we were awful. We were probably the better team and the more in-control team, but it just wasn't a very good game whatsoever. We created a couple of opportunities, but nothing massive, and, we had a couple of chances that maybe we could have done a little bit better with, but other than that, nothing much happened, which makes it even more baffling that the referee decided to give a sending off for what wasn't a red card challenge, because it wasn't like he was stressed or had anything else to deal with in the game, because nothing else was happening. I'm going to give Vitaly a 7. Thought he held himself well, defended well, moved the ball around well when he needed to, pushed up the pitch a couple of times as well and got into good attacking areas, which was nice to see, and defensively was absolutely sound as well. Into the centre-backs then, James Tarkowski, going to give him a 7.5. Again, really solid. We spoke last week about how his performance against Wolves was definitely an anomaly, and how typically you get a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 performance from James Tarkowski every single week. He's incredibly consistent. He is somebody that, Everton have needed for a number of years. That consistency and that ability to know what you're going to get from him week in, week out is something that is hugely helpful. And again today, although he didn't have an awful lot to deal with, his Palace didn't bring an awful lot. Thought he was really solid. Branthwaite next to him then, going to give him a 7.5 as well, similarly. Really cool, really calm, really collected. We spoke about how the 5 at the back against Wolves sort of threw a curveball in, I think, for both Jared and James, and the pair of them almost looked like they were incredibly uncomfortable, which is the first time that's happened in a long time for either of them. Whereas today, again, back to a flat back 4, back to what they know best, absolutely sound, no issues whatsoever, comfortable on the ball, defended really well, big physical performance by Jared, I thought they were both incredibly solid. Seamus Coleman at right back then, going to give him a 7. Don't think he was as involved as the 2 centre halves in terms of defensively, but again showed his class today. Seamus is absolutely magnificent to be able to do what he's doing. 15 years into his Everton career, 15 seasons into his Everton career, at the age that he is, the injuries that he's had over the last couple of years, to come back and still arguably, in fact, I'm not even sure it's arguable, still be our best fullback is quite magnificent. And again today he showed that his performance was really solid. He got forward a couple of times, got caught offside a couple of times, which he'll probably be disappointed with, but still got in those forward areas. He had one run in the first half where he ran into the centre and created an opportunity for Dom, who passed it to Danjuma, whose shot went wide, I think, but done really well there as well. And no issues defensively, and if he can stay fit, he's obviously going to be a player that is hugely impactful for us for the rest of the season. Although, as I said in the instant match reaction, if it was down to me, I wouldn't kick another ball this season until we get proof that there isn't an agenda against Everton. But it isn't down to me, so we'll move on. Into the midfield then, Amadou Onana. Going to give Amadou a 7.5 as well. You know what? I thought he was really good today. Listen, I'm not one to tell people how they should feel or how they should react or how they should, how they should feel towards certain players. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and that's absolutely fine, and I understand that my opinion will be different to other people's opinions and vice versa. However, I'm not quite sure I understand the sort of consensus at the moment that Amadou Onana is absolutely terrible and Everton should absolutely be getting rid of him in this January transfer window. There's been rumours over the last 24 hours or so that he's being linked with a move to Arsenal, and there's a lot of Evertonians that seem keen on that move going ahead, and I'm not quite sure why. It's not like he's come out in the media and said he wants to leave. It's not like, you know, he's thrown the towel in or he's done anything towards the fans. He's missed a penalty. He's missed a penalty at a crucial moment in a big game, you know, which he made a mistake in. Since then, I think he's been okay. Before then, I thought he was excellent, and today I thought he was really solid again, putting himself about, constantly on the ball. I don't know whether it's a case of people want more from him, people expect more from him because of his talent and his size and his ability, but maybe that's just something that we're not going to get with him in this current Everton team and in this current Everton setup and the position in which he plays in. I actually thought he was quite solid today. I thought he put himself about, thought he battled, thought he worked hard, thought he was quite lively today. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 7.5. James Garner next to him, I'm going to give him a 7.5 as well. Again, fairly solid, much better than what he was against Wolves. I thought the pair of them were really, really poor against Wolves, whereas today they were active, they were getting involved, they were putting themselves about. James Garner was back to the James Garner that we sort of know and have become used to this season, and that player that, you know, whenever an opposition player has got the ball, he is always there, he's always sniffing around, he's always ready to take it off them, he's always ready to capitalise on it. And yeah, like I said, I thought he done really, really well today. Dwight McNeil on the wing, obviously stretched off with an injury. Wish Dwight a very speedy recovery. Hopefully that's nothing too serious, and hopefully the 10-day break now can sort of take up a chunk of that time that he would have been out with an injury. We'll wait and see what the injury is, I'm sure, over the coming days. In fact, we may already know. The manager may have already said. I haven't been on social media after the game yet. Yeah, I thought he was okay. I'm going to give him a 6.5. Thought he put himself about. Thought he worked hard. Again, the forward line for me could have done a little bit better today for the amount of possession we had and for how in control of the ball we were in that second half for pretty much the entirety of it, bar in the first 5 minutes. I think the attacking players could have done a little bit more to open Palace up, could have done a little bit more to create more, but I thought he worked hard. I thought he put himself about, he gave a lot of effort, and yeah, he's getting a 6.5. Jack Allison, I'm going to give him a 6.5 as well, similarly. Thought he worked hard. Thought he put himself about. Did I expect more from him? I expected more from all of them, to be fair, as a unit. As a forward unit, certainly. But he was okay. He was okay. Again, a little bit of a different position for him today, so give him the benefit of the doubt in that sense, with Danjuma being on the wing. But yeah, thought he'd done well, put himself about, battled, worked hard, fought for the ball. And yeah. Danjuma then, I'm actually going to give him a 7.7. I thought he was Everton's best player today. Very creative in that first half. A couple of opportunities that you may say he should do a little bit better with, but the fact that he was getting those opportunities and getting in those positions to, you know, create them for himself is a positive in itself. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about Danjuma at the moment and whether or not he will end the season as an Everton player. Obviously, he's not had an awful lot of game time recently, and he doesn't seem to be in the manager's favoured 11. But I thought he'd done himself well today. I thought he done himself a favour today, and I think he's definitely somebody that should be in contention. I think to allow him to leave would be a little bit silly given our financial restraints. I'm not too sure we would find somebody with as much ability as him to come in. Now, again, I'm not saying he's absolutely world class and he's amazing, but he showed today that he can take a player on, he can beat a player, he can get in a good area. If he works on his finishing and his decision making in the final third, then he's definitely somebody that will prove an asset between now and the end of the season. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I'm going to give Dom a 6.5. I'm not even going to take into consideration the sending off, because it's never a sending off and it's an absolute pointless conversation. I thought he put himself about, thought he worked hard, thought he battled. Again, his confidence in front of goal is on the floor at the moment. He had a couple of chances that you really would expect the Premier League striker to at least make more difficult for the goalkeeper. He didn't. A couple of them were straight at the goalkeeper and caused no problem whatsoever. But his overall performance, I thought, was much better today. He was putting himself about, he was working hard, you know, he was providing a handful, and he definitely caused that Crystal Palace defence a couple of issues. And as I said, the sending off. In fact, he's getting a 7 for the sending off. I'm giving him a higher grade because fuck Chris Kavanagh and fuck Craig Pawson. Onto the bench then, Beto, 6.5, come on. Similar to Dom, put himself about, should have had a penalty, should have won a penalty. I'm really not sure how it wasn't given as a penalty and why it wasn't given as a penalty, but should have won a penalty. Put himself about, worked hard, battled, and yet sort of adopted into that Dominic Calvert-Lewin role really, really well. And then Andre Gomez, give him a 6. I'll be honest, I didn't see him touch the ball once because it was after the sending off, and at that point I was done with the game. I couldn't give a shit what the score was at that point. I was done with the game. So there you go. They are the player ratings. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like. It does only take a second. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to go and check out the instant match reaction. It's a lively one, I'll tell you that. And yeah, we'll be back with the game review tomorrow. So big thanks for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. And yeah, we'll see you later. And don't forget as well, they make this more and more obvious every week. We know it's corrupt. If you don't think it's corrupt, then open your eyes because it's staring you in the face. Cheers for watching. See you after.